Peace, peace, family. This video right here is about light being imprisonment. Now, we know that melanin is solidified sunlight, but we understand that your vessel is nothing more than a physical shell which holds your true self. Now, with that being said, since we're talking about light being, before I go into, the metaphysical and scientific principles and foundation of who you are, we got to break down the mathematic consistencies in regards to light itself. Now, light travels at 186,000 miles per second in our sphere of existence. Now, let me give you some math, right? Just like you got seconds, nanoseconds, microseconds, minutes, hours, you have light. Nanoseconds, light microseconds, light seconds, light minutes, light hours, light years. So for every for every calculation of time, you have a light year. You have a light abbreviation that goes on the front of it. So if you got a year, you got a light year. If you got a second, you got a light second. If you got a microsecond, you got a light microsecond. If you got a nanosecond, you got a light nanosecond. So on and so forth. Minute, light minute. Now, with that being said, in order to find out the distance that you have to travel, and I'm finna make my point with this, because your thoughts travel at 186,000 miles per second. Because remember, light is just electricity and magnetism. So literally, my voice is traveling at 186,000 miles per second. Your thoughts all throughout your body, the electrical signals in your nervous system is traveling at 186,000 miles per second. The wiring in your house, all the electricity surging through your wires, the electricity surging through your cell phone, 186,000 miles per second. So with that being said, let's do the math on it, right? How long does it take for light beings to communicate with ourselves? Because I'm finna round this all up. Now, let's say planet Earth, right? Planet Earth is traveling at approximately, let's say, 67,000 miles per hour. Not second, per hour around the sun. So at that speed, it takes us 584 million miles that we have to travel in order to make one full cycle, aka one full orbit, aka one full year. So that being said, every one birthday that you have, you travel 584 million miles at 67,000 miles per hour. Now, this is because the weight of the Earth, aka the level of solidity that quantum source of light has manifested itself into, has caused it to vibrate at a slower frequency. Uncontained light travels at 186,000 miles per second. So, for example, Earth is traveling 67,000 miles per hour. Light is traveling 186,000 miles per second. So it takes us, in 1 year, we have to travel 584 million miles. In 1 year, light travels 6 trillion miles because it's uncontained, it's unslowed down. Now, why is this important? Light travels approximately 27,000 times faster than the Earth is traveling, than we're traveling. Now, why is this important? Because you communicate with yourself faster, or you think and manifest things faster than you physically get to experience it. So with that being said, when we're talking about light being, remember, you communicate with yourself through electrical intervals, aka thoughts and sound waves. So once again, radio waves, aka your voice, electrical signals, aka your nervous system, electricity inside of wires, anything that holds and conducts an electrical charge or gives off an electrical frequency is traveling at the speed of light. Now, why is this important? Light travels 11 million miles every 1 minute. So if I say boo, in exactly 60 seconds from now, that sound wave, aka electrical interval of information, has just traveled 11 million miles. So anybody within an 11 million mile radius in regards to the direction I just sent that wave signal is going to pick up on that piece of information. So just like when you see motherfuckers, scientists sending electrical signals out of space, they understand how fast their signals are traveling and understand the direction that they're sending them in hopes in regards to which we know they're communicating with extraterrestrial life. So even when we're dealing with planets, right? The way you calculate the distance that you have to communicate with another planet, because remember, you communicate with the planet, as I broke down in my other video, or any other entity, you have to multiply the speed of light in our solar system by the seconds in a minute, the minutes in an hour, the hours in a day, and the days in a year of the planet that you're on. So, for example, Earth, right? We understand the multiplication of our light years because we know it's 60 seconds in a minute, it's 60 minutes in an hour, it's 24 hours in a day, and it's 365 days in a year. So once you multiply all those time intervals by 186,000, the numeral that you get is the speed that our light travels or the distance that something is from us in regards to being light year, on a light year template. So if I was on Mars or if I was on Venus, where the days are shorter or longer because one is closer, Mars is farther from the sun and Venus is closer, then I would have to multiply 186,000 by the seconds in an hour, the hours in a day, and the days in a year of the planet that I'm on in order to figure out the light distance that I have to travel in order to communicate with another frequency. So that being said, we're talking about our light bodies. Now that we have the mathematical principalities down pat, you have to understand that your body, I gave the analogy, gas, liquid, solid, right? I'm going to give it again. You know why ice melts? Not just because of temperature. Remember, temper and temperature come from the Latin word temporare or temporare, however you want to say it, which literally means state of being. Your state of being is predicated upon what degrees the sun is shining on you or from your current location. Now, why is the degrees of the sun important? Because the degrees of the sun determines if your atomic structure is condensed or is more spaced out, aka more solidified, or is it more of a gas? So now ice melts because atoms are vibrating and they're constantly creating heat, as well as reacting to the heat being created by the sun, and they are becoming distant from each other. And the ice is melting because it can no longer contain the electrical signal of its own molecular self. Your body is aging, okay, because the vibrant light spirit, which is you inside of this vessel, is doing the same thing ice is doing. Is decomposing its physical vessel in order to become a gas once again and become free. So you have 180. So think about this. Light travels at 186,000 miles per second, right? But the Earth is solidified light, but it's only traveling at 67,000 miles an hour. So imagine if light was just binging around all inside of the Earth, but the Earth is not able to produce the speed that light can. So light is trapped inside of this. So when we say this is your vessel, this is the prisoner of your soul, you get your soul from the solar system, solar frequency. So we are aging because our bodies are becoming weaker and weaker every day, trying to hold the electrical interval in which we truly are, which is our light self. So with that being said, age, years, zodiac sign. A new age is a new zodiac sign. You turn a new age every time you go around a year. Every time you go around the sun in 1 year. So your body is aging, aka is decreasing in its vitality and capacity to can hold your electrical frequency upon each year. So you are your physical body is governed by physical years, you can say, physical time. But your light body is governed by light time. So you exist within light years, but you're contained within something that can only express you in physical years. So for example, if I say I'm about to push this camera, right? Watch this. Push this camera. That just hit you at 186,000 miles per second. But for me to actually cock my arm and push it, it's a lapse. So your body is not even able to express the will of your light being, your light self, your soul at a correct interval in order to be synchronized with the will of yourself. So this is why physical reality is constantly dissipating, because your soul is constantly trying to vibrate outside of its solidified prison. So what you have to understand is, just like I said before earlier, ice is constantly melting because the molecules are constantly vibrating and becoming more spaced away from each other and trying to break free of this perception of this current solidified state. So your body is doing the same thing. Your body is constantly aging because it's being drained from the electrical frequency that's constantly being conducted through it. And once again, this is why you're supposed to eat alkaline foods. Alkaline is a dietary word which means electric, because you have to replenish some of the electricity back in your body into your cells that your body is currently feeding off from your soul. Your soul is so big, it can't even fit inside of your whole goddamn body. So think about this. Energy is infinite, right? So your body is constantly conducting an infinite amount of energy in its finite self. Okay? So you have something that is infinite being stored inside of something that is temporary. And that which is temporary is constantly being broken down back into its infinite state. Gas becomes a liquid and then becomes a solid. The solid is temporary. The gas is infinite. Okay? Melanin is condensed sunlight. You are a solidified quantum being having a temporary experience on this realm, and then you're constantly breaking down to go back into your light quantum self. So now, why is this important? as African people, we communicate with each other every day at light speed. Your thoughts leave out of your head through the medium of your dimple antennas, which are melanated nerve receptors located within the internal and external layers of the skull at light speed. So, for example, right, the moon. If you do the math on the moon is approximately 240 million miles away from Earth. Now, no, 1,000 miles away from Earth, I want to say. Either 1,000 or 1,000,000. I'm going with 1,000. Do the research. Y'all know how I do. The moon is approximately, let's say, 240,000 miles away from Earth, right? Now, light travels at 186,000 miles per second. So now, why is this important? If I look at the moon and I say, moon, your voice actually sends a sound wave, and it only takes your voice 1.3 seconds to get to the goddamn moon. So if somebody on the moon had a biological, let's say, makeup to where they could process your audio, they would be able to hear you every 1.3 seconds. So if motherfuckers on the moon had a device where they could listen to us, every time, as I'm talking right now, everything I'm saying has a lag time of 1.3 seconds, and they will be able to communicate back with us in that same time range. So with that being said, you have to understand everything you do is vibrant, okay? It's vibrant. It's a vibration that you're sending out across the entire galaxy. And you think just because you're not physically close to something, you're closer than you think. Now, can you throw a rock at the moon? No. But yet, you can talk to the moon, and your voice waves can literally come in contact and bounce off the moon and come back to you in 1.3 seconds. So don't think just because something is physically out of range that you cannot physically come in contact with it. Because the sun was created first by radio waves. Just like in the Bible when they say God said, let there be light. The Bible is based off the sun. Does God speak? Does light speak? Well, technically, yes. Because the sun, the first level of the electromagnetic spectrum of the sun is radio waves. When you look up the definition of radio waves, they say electrical signals carrying specifically what is known as sound messages, voice, vernacular expression. So with that being said, you come in contact with everything through the mind, through the means of electricity and magnetism. And this is what makes melanated African people so powerful, because we have the key to contact with all that, with all that is, with all that exists. So with that being said, when we gotta understand this, our spirit, our soul, which is an extension of our spirit, spiral, right? Solar system, Fibonacci sequence, golden ratio 1.618, flower of life, right? Us, in our true form, is being held back in our solidified form. And once we make that understanding of who we truly are, we can realign ourselves with a quantum level of psychology to where we begin to mold reality back into the favor of being a light being. See, our problem is we have been tweaked in our perceptions and misguided to believe that we are the solid instead of the gas. See, you are a light being. This is your vessel. This vessel is constantly decomposing and dissipating by trying to contain who you truly are. And what you don't realize is, by you believing that you become the suit, you forgot that you the motherfucker in the suit. You're not Iron Man, you're Tony Stark. So we're Tony Stark, we're the light being, we're not who we believe we are. So with that being said, understand that your reach and your will actually manifests in your life quicker than you goddamn think. So every 1.3 seconds, every 60 seconds, every 1 minute, know that your thoughts and your voice travels 11 million miles. Now, why is this important? You don't know who the fuck you send the energy to. So when we talking about Masonic rituals and games being played on certain days, even when motherfuckers is chanting, right? Let's say you got a stadium with 100,000 people, and they all saying, boo, boo, and they sending out a negative frequency. Every 60 seconds, you got a motherfucking giant-ass octaval wave, okay, of radio frequency being sent across whatever direction, northeast, southwest, northeast, southeast, whatever direction that stadium is facing. You got a giant quantum optical wave of electricity and radio waves being sent in a certain direction that is being ciphered by motherfuckers who do rituals. And I guarantee you, the Masonic Lodge is not nowhere near 11 million miles away from where this goddamn football game or basketball game is taking place. So with that being said, imagine people who go to an avalanche and they scream real loud in snowfall. Or people who scream real loud and glass break. This goes to show you that the radio frequency produced by your vocal cords and your mind and your thought process can actually shape and have an effect on physical reality. So if you think you as a light being are not being ciphered upon for your energy, okay, think again. That's the whole point of religion. To get you to submit to giving away your energy instead of channeling it through yourself. See, if you say, I believe in God, right? Then you project your light energy out to whatever demonic ass entity that you have associated yourself with through religion. But if you say, I believe I can change myself, then all of that 186,000 miles a second worth of electrical intervals are traveling through you instead of outside of you. So when you're talking about being a light being, right? Let me give you an example. Electro on Spider-Man. He grabs other power sources of electricity to power up and make himself powerful. You're a light being. You're supposed to believe in yourself because that's the symbolic equivalent to Electro powering himself up. Now, when Electro keeps shooting his electromagnetic energy out, he becomes weak. And if he doesn't have nothing to power himself up with, he burns the fuck out. Same thing with African people. We are solidified electricity. Melanin solidified sunlight. If we're not eating alkaline foods and speaking positive affirmations into ourselves and having a positive perspective on ourselves, we're never charging ourselves up. Our vitality is always in the negatives. You are a light being. You feed off of light. So stop living in that which does not have a life force. Even with the diet, fruits have microscopic pores and lungs that allow them to breathe. This is why apples turn brown, because they're running out of breath. They're dying. So when you eat fruit, you're eating electricity. You're charging up. If something does not have a nervous system, it does not conduct electricity. If something does not take in oxygen, then it doesn't have a nervous system. Because the whole point of your nervous system is to keep your respiratory system going so that you can continue to digest oxygen and live. So if you eat meat, meat is considered dead because the nervous system of the organism that you're eating is no longer functioning and it no longer has a life force. So when you eat that which contains light, you eat that which contains soul, aka prana, aka life force. So we're a light being organism. Okay? So not only are you a light being, your light self, your soul, chose a vehicle that is made out of light. So why are you not digesting light? Not just physically through the diet, but mentally, okay? And spiritually through, let's say, your spiritual system, okay? Period. So that being said, tap back into your power, family. Tap back into your power, family, because it's time. The frequency of this planet is being raised, and we are coming out of a state of darkness that we have existed in for the last 2,000 years plus, and we're coming back into the state of quantum existence. So understand, you must graduate from your three-dimensional or third density level of misunderstanding to your quantum fifth-dimensional level of godly information. So that being said, everything in this universe is predicated upon the speed of light. Even your solidified existence is predicated upon specific vibratory frequency states of light. So understand you are a light being and tap back into your light self. Some of you niggas need to get off years and get on a light year frequency, and maybe you will finally be ahead in the motherfucking game. So that being said, family, I love y'all. Understand who we truly are. No longer allow the demonic entities and mentalities that have overtaken this planet to continue to tweak and misperceptionalize our internal radio frequencies and disconnect us from our higher self, which is the cosmos. And with that being said, I love y'all. Peace.